morning. Welcome along. It's great to have a chance to share with you today, and it's a beautiful part of the world. It's been some time since I've been here, so it's good to be back. And so we've got a lot to get through today. Lynn mentioned my name's Jamie McIntyre, and I've had the opportunity to, over many years now, educate many people on a lot of topics that we'll go through today. Just a quick show of hands. Who's been to one of my seminars before, maybe watched a DVD or read my book? Okay, so most of you in the room, so most of you have some idea of some of the things we're going to talk about today. Some of you have perhaps been dragged here today, so have no idea what we're going to talk about, but that'll be fine. We'll go into some of those strategies as well. So today what we want to look at is, first of all, in the first few hours I will spend with you this morning, I want to go through a couple of key things. And one of those things is, often people say, Jamie, if it's that simple to be rich, then why isn't everyone rich? Who's had someone say that to them before? Okay, it's obvious. If it's that simple to be rich, then why isn't everyone rich? And what we're going to look at today is predominantly one of the key things is why most people, you think about in Australia and New Zealand and most Western societies, especially Australia, it's a very wealthy country. So why are most people, if they live in a wealthy country, why are they not rich in most cases? In other words, if we can discover, one of my earliest mentors was a self-made millionaire, and he said, find out what most people are doing and then do the exact what do you think? The exact opposite. And today, so I want to share with you, if we can look at and say, why is it that in Australia, a country like this where everyone could be incredibly wealthy, that most people aren't? And if we can find out why they're not wealthy, it's not so we can go and copy that, but we can look at doing the opposite to most people. And that's what I did. I didn't know exactly what I was doing many years ago, but at least I started heading in the right direction by doing the opposite of that. The other thing we want to look at is a few different investment strategies in particular. I want to talk about the mindset of a millionaire. In other words, people that produce extraordinary results. So let me ask you this question. Do you think people that are millionaires think differently to, say, people that are on the pension? Raise your hand if you think that to be true. Yeah. It's common sense. It's obvious, isn't it? But what if we could actually look at and say, well, if we could understand and distill and break down what is the difference in thinking? If millionaires that produce a different result financially think differently, to say someone that's destined for the pension or is on a pension, then what is that difference in thinking? Because then if we could understand that difference in thinking, then we can do something that we're told not to do at school. I don't know about you, but at school I was always taught not to copy the person next to you. Who remembers that? Okay, we're told not to copy. I want to suggest to you in the 21st century, if you want to excel in today's world, then what we need to do is learn to copy. Does that make sense? But we don't use the word copy. We're going to use a different word. We call it modeling. In other words, modeling success. Some people say, let me ask you a question. Who in this room here today is impatient? Raise your hand if you're an impatient person. Okay, most of us. That's why we're here. True. And we want to speed things up. So if you're looking for the shortcut, there is a shortcut, and I'm happy to share that with you today. And I guess what the shortcut is, could you look at the difference between most people? I look back over the last decade of my life, and what enabled me to produce pretty significant results rapidly was the fact that I had to learn a lot of information, a lot of education, a lot of knowledge. And most people take 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years to learn what they need to learn to produce the results they want. Does that make sense? But what if you could learn that and not take 20, 30, 40 years, but you could learn that education, that knowledge in a few short years or a few short months? Who's following what I'm saying here? Okay. If you can, compress decades of knowledge into a matter of months, then what you can do is you can rapidly accelerate your results. So all I did, and I guess what I want to share with you today, is that I looked at, found people that were successful in an area that I wanted to produce a result. For instance, many years ago, I knew nothing about real estate and investing in property. So what I did, and if you're looking for the shortcut, is I went and found people that were producing the results that I wanted. Does that make sense? And then I took their distinctions, learnt from them, how they went about doing it, and then, started to model that, add that to my life. Now, it doesn't mean I had to be as successful as them, but if a little bit rubbed off, it would improve my results. Who's following what I'm saying here? Okay? Because you might say, look at someone like Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett, the second richest man in the world. Would he be a good model as far as around investing, yes or no? That's just yes. But so you say, well, if we go and model Warren Buffett, does that mean we're all going to become worth $30 billion? The answer is obviously not likely. But what if just a few of the distinctions rubbed off? Could it improve our game, yes or no? It's obvious. It's common sense. So what we're going to look at, and that's one of, if you are impatient, you want to get there fast, the only way that I know that is a shortcut is find people who already produce the result, and you can learn off them. Otherwise, it can take 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years of trial and error. trial and error and learning from your own mistakes, which is still valuable, can take a lot longer. Make sense? So we'll also look at that. Now, the other thing is I respect there's people in this room here today that are already successful investors. Is it true? Some of you are already doing well. You might own numerous properties. You might do well in the share market or business, etc. So today for you, it's more like just a top up, or if you're looking for those little distinctions. Because people that have become successful, they realize it's just the little distinctions that can make a big difference. And I know, for me, the more you learn, the more you earn. First of all, when we get into some of the strategies, the first thing I want to share with you, help you identify, I talked about before, is why is it that most people are not rich when we live in a rich country? Because if we can understand that, then we can know what not to do. And we can understand that it's not because we can't be rich, it's because it's actually quite possible. So many of you probably heard the statistics before about 93 to 95, 96% of the population in Australia at age 65 will either be dead or dead broke effectively. Okay? In other words, they'll be dependent on government, pension, or family members to support their lifestyle once they stop working. Does that make sense? And now often what's happening in Australia is that the retirement ages are going down or up for most people. It's going up, talking about now 70 and 75, people continue working and things like that. So most people have to continue to work. So in a country like that, the statistics are only about 4 or 5% of the population will become financially independent. In other words, they can retire at age 65 and not need a job to be able to maintain their lifestyle. And only about 1% of the population is what is classified as rich. 1 out of 100, okay? In a country where there's a tremendous amount of wealth and a lot more people could be. So you could look at that and say, well, it's just the lucky few. Maybe win lotto or inherit it or marry into it. They just get lucky and they're lucky few. And some people think that way.